30 minutes on my phone. So it's grade 11, obviously. I come to grade 11, obviously. And in grade 11, I still hung out with the one guy who had his grandparents, rich grandparents. I didn't really hang out with him in grade 7, grade 11. Me and him were not that tight anymore. Because there was an incident. We got into an argument and he punched me in the face. He just punched me in the face and that's it. And then nothing happened after that, obviously. You know, so we weren't really what? We weren't really what? We weren't really good friends. But the guy who bragged about that rich owner of the gas station, me and him were good friends. I hung out with him a lot. I hung out with his brother a lot too. He had a younger brother. You know who you are. Me and him were pretty good friends. I hung out with him a lot too. Yeah, I hung out with his younger brother too. Me and him were pretty close too. Yeah. He had a younger brother who got in an accident. I hung out with his younger brother too. His younger brother was chill. Obviously, I smoked with him. I got drunk with him, and we ate some nice food together. Yeah, good times. Obviously. And my best friend, his brother had an apartment. I used to go to his apartment a lot of times during the year in grade 11. Obviously, you guys all remember me. Yeah, I went to his house. I got slept over there a few times. Got drunk. I smoked weed. You know what I'm saying? Good times, obviously. But I mostly hung out with that one guy the one guy who was rich, who had his rich father, who owned a golf course. I hung out with him the most out of all those guys. Me and him were like besties, man. Even though the other guy was like my best friend, the other guy was a second close best friend. Me and him were fucking tight, man. I hung out with him like every fucking day, you know what I'm saying? And he was like in all my classes. He was in my science class, my history class, because he also failed classes. He like me, he also failed some classes too. He was in my science class. He was in my science class, my history class, my French class, my gym class. He was in all my classes, that guy. That's why me and him were so tight. My economic class. He was in all my fucking classes, man. And again, grade 11, I didn't take school seriously. I fooled around and I failed like most of my classes again, obviously. Obviously, right? And in grade 11, I hung out with my best friend. I went to his brother's house at his apartment. I hung out with that guy who had his rich father. I remember I went to his house one time, and I saw his house. I'm like, holy shit, this house is nice. And I was in awe, like, holy shit, this is a nice house. I saw his house, I'm saying, and his father owned this huge golf course, man. You know those huge golf courses? I don't know. His father was probably making, I don't know, $300,000 a year, man. The guy was rich. He owned this huge golf course. He had this nice like celebrity style house. You know the houses that B-list actors own? B-list actors own like $600,000, $700,000. He owned a nice house like that, man. A nice like $750,000 house. He had his nice ass cars. Nice ass fucking cars. I saw his father's nice ass fucking cars. He had his huge garage with a bunch of beer. I remember one time I went with what? It was me and the guy who was one of my best friends. The guy who has a rich father. We went with like two women in the car. We went to his house. We went to his garage. We got a bunch of liquor and beer in his garage. Yeah. I remember that, you know what I'm saying? I went to his house. I'm like, holy shit, this house is nice. His father gave me this look, you know what I'm saying? I met his younger brother. He had a younger brother, obviously. And I went to his house. I'm like, holy shit, he had a nice fucking house, man. A nice living room. Downstairs, he had his nice basement. His nice pool table. Nice big screen TV, you know what I'm saying? His younger brother was playing games. I played a bit of games with his younger brother. Hey, you want to play? I'm like, sure. And I played a little bit of games with his younger brother. You remember that moment when I came to your house, obviously. He had a nice fucking house, man. I'm like, holy shit, your house is nice. This is a nice house. Yeah, man. He had a nice house, obviously. Now, one chick who I liked in grade 10, I liked her a little bit in grade 11, too. Obviously. She was in my drama class. She was in my history class and my drama class. And you know who you are. I remember her in drama. She was in my drama class. And we did this Little Red Riding Hood play. This Little Red Riding Hood play together. I told you, those pictures, all you guys who remember my facial pictures, you remember those pictures were tagged. You saw me wearing this red robe. You know what I'm talking about, VJ. You saw me wearing this red robe, Little Red Riding Hood. You saw this woman handing me the thing. That was the girl who I had a crush on. In Darcy. I had a big crush on her, man. I had a huge crush on her. Obviously. I had a huge crush on her, obviously. It didn't work out, though. Nothing happened. Nothing happened, Victoria, if you're wondering. Nothing fucking happened. And in grade 11, I went to the dances, too. But the dances when I was in grade 11 were not as good as the dances I went to when I was in grade 9. When I was in Lisgar going to dances. The dances were not as good, obviously. I went to all these dances in grade 11, obviously. People in my class, in my grade, barely went to the dances in grade 11. But I went to a few dances in grade 11, obviously. I told you I didn't take school seriously. The one guy who was in my grade 10 English class, I hung out with him a few times. I smoked weed with him, you know what I'm saying? I went to his house one time. I had a cheesecake at his house. You know who you are, you know what I'm saying? I had good times with him, obviously. And he was a pretty good friend of mine, too. I hung out with him quite a bit, too. He was in my grade 10 class. He used to sit next to me. We used to talk all the time. He was chill. He was a chill guy. Supposed to be chill, right? Yeah. So all this time throughout my life and when I was in school, all the people in Darcy all knew I was lost. And they all knew I was the son of God. And they all knew my family were the gatekeepers. Hence why once I pay this fee, I'm gonna have that flashback of my life, of what I went through in my life, all the so-called friends in Darcy. You know what I'm saying? And don't forget, throughout my life in Darcy, all my so-called friends kept making fun of me. Because sometimes I would do gay jokes. Oh my God, Ivan's gay and all that stuff. They all make fun of me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because of their envy, obviously. They all make fun of me, you know what I'm saying? Told you that one good friend of mine used to brag about how rich this guy was. Yeah, this guy who owns this gas station, he's fucking rich. He owns this, like, I don't know, $600,000, $700,000 house with an indoor pool and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? My best friend, my supposed best friend, he's like, yeah, my cousin's fucking rich. You know what I'm saying? And I also went to his cousin's house, too. I slept over his cousin's house, I think, once or twice. I got high there. I slept over his cousin's house a few times. His cousin had a not bad house. Obviously, right? And the other guy who's like my second best friend, I saw his fucking nice ass house. Rich fucking guy, man. Yet the whole time, my son got I'm rich and all these guys buying milestone. That's the funny thing. You see what I'm saying here? Yeah, so tomorrow I'll be continuing. So I thought it'd be cool to talk about my life from when I'm a kid to high school. Then tomorrow I'll talk about my life after high school. How all my friends abandoned me. How I thought I had disease for 8 years. I'll talk about that. Whereas today I thought it'd be cool to talk about my life from kids from when I'm in high school. I left out a lot of things in my life, but I'm giving you a summary of what happened in my life, obviously. So grade 11 ended, obviously. Grade 11 finished, obviously. I remember the guidance counselor kept getting sent to the guidance counselor. I was like, yeah, Ivan, you're not going to graduate college. You're not going to graduate high school. I'm like, yeah, I know, Ivan, you're going to have to go to Adelaide. You're not going to graduate high school and all that stuff. That's why I didn't go to the graduation. Because there's no point in me going to the graduation if I know I'm not going to graduate. It's pointless. That's why I didn't go to my grade 11 graduation. I didn't go, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to go. There's no point. I'm not going to fucking graduate high school. I'm not going to initially graduate high school. I graduated high school, but I didn't initially graduate. I had to go to Adelaide to finish my high school, obviously. I remember that vice principal kept sending me to his office. And he kept yelling at me, Ivan, don't skip class. Ivan, don't skip detention. He kept yelling at me. I'm like, what about you? You knew the whole time the doors were locked on me. You knew my family were the gatekeepers. You knew I started with my life, started with my wife. As I shut you the fuck up for good, obviously. As I shut that vice principal up for good. As even if I skip class, I don't go to detention, or if I work hard, it won't make a difference. The doors were locked on me, obviously. It wouldn't make a difference if the teachers would have sabotaged my marks. The fact that the teachers adhered to sabotage my marks when I worked my ass off, that's how you know it doesn't make a difference if Ivan skips class or does his homework. It doesn't make a difference. And that vice principal would yell at me, Ivan, don't skip class. Ivan, don't skip detention, all this stuff. And yet the whole time, you knew the doors were locked. That's how fucking wicked you guys are, man. You guys are nothing but a mess from what I made, man. I shut that teacher off, that vice principal up for good. Shut him up for good, man. Because you guys all knew the doors were locked on me. Yeah. So in grade 11, I hung out with my friends, my so-called friends, obviously. My best friend, I hung out with him a lot, smoked weed. I went to a few parties, got drunk with him a few times. Hung out at his brother's apartment. You know, so I hung out with the other guy a lot. I hung with him a lot. The guy who has the rich father, who owns a golf course. I hung out with him a lot, obviously, in grade 11. Got high a lot of times in grade 11. Got drunk quite a bit. Obviously, didn't do my homework. Just hung out with my friends. Didn't do my homework. Didn't care about school. Ivan, you were that bad with school? Yes, I didn't care about school. I didn't even do my homework, man. Hey, we have a project due, and I wouldn't even do my projects. I would just skip school. I would just what? Chill with my friends and just smoke weed and not even do my homework. Yeah, man, I didn't give a shit, man. Obviously, right? I don't know. Grade 11 came, obviously. I knew I wasn't going to graduate, obviously. Prom, it was prom time now. Prom now came, obviously. prom now came. It was prom time, obviously, and it was prom time, obviously. I did not have a prom date at prom. Most of the people in my graduation class didn't come to prom with a prom date. Most of them came solo on their own. Most of the people didn't come to prom on a prom date. Most of the people in grade 11 in my grade 11 class didn't come to prom on a prom date. With a prom date, most of them came on their own. A few people had prom dates, and most people came on their own, obviously. Remember prom was nearing, obviously. And my step-parents were nice enough to buy me a suit. They bought me a nice, like, $200 suit. Because they're fucking cheap, obviously. They bought me this nice, like, $200 black silk suit. You guys saw the picture. There's a picture of me for, it's a prom picture of me in what? There's a prom picture of me on my old Facebook page. You showed me wearing this black suit. That was prom, obviously. I wore this nice black silk suit. My parents bought me this nice, like, $200 suit. Not bad. It's a nice suit, obviously. A nice, like, $200 suit. I wore to prom, obviously. And you guys saw that one guy who you saw with me. That guy was like my best friend and my supposed best friend in high school, obviously. And there's also pictures tagged of me with There's also pictures tagged of me with the other guy. The other guy who had his rich father. He was like my second best friend. He was like my best friend too. Those guys were like my two best friends. They were both my best friends. I was really, really tight with the other guy too, man. The guy was like my best friend, man. Good looking guy. The other guy he looked like a skater. A good looking guy. You know what I'm saying? Obviously. And so prom came, obviously. I went to prom. So my good friend who used to work at that gas station, who bragged about that rich owner at the gas station, he was a driver. He drove this nice last car for prom. Obviously, he drove this nice car for prom, and it was me, him, my best friend. It was me, him, my best friend, and some other guy. We drove to the prom, obviously. I remember I was so I can't wait for prom, obviously. I can't wait for prom. And I went to prom on my own, solo. And my best friend, my supposed best friend, he went to prom solo too. He went to some party and he made out with some girl and he was supposed to go to prom with that other girl. And he ended up rejecting her. I remember that day. He ended up rejecting that girl, obviously. The guy, I feel like being solo, you know what I'm saying? The girl cried. He ended up rejecting that girl. That's actually funny. He made out with that girl and he ended up rejecting her and all that stuff. That's what I say. When I say all my so-called friends had makeouts, yeah, man, all my so-called friends had makeout sessions with some woman, man. I never had any of that, man. I never had any of that in my fucking life. Hence why I'm so fucking innocent. That's how I know you guys are rep bait. You guys are willing to trap this virgin man who's ever in a relationship with sharing her death. Because you're crazy psychopaths. You're nothing but a mess and white man. You're crazy people, man. Yeah, man. Anyways, prom happened. We had a good time at prom. You know what I'm saying? Everyone danced to the music. We ate good food at the prom, obviously. Everyone had a good time. I had a good time at prom. I had a good time at the prom. We ate good food. We had a good time at prom, obviously. I remember that one chick who I liked. I remember she kept staring at me. That's how you know she liked me the whole time. Yeah, because I'm white, that woman obviously liked me a lot, obviously. She just didn't show it, obviously. But she gave me this stare. Her pupils were dilated too. She gave me this stare. She was staring at me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was funny. Yeah. Anyways, I had a good prom. I remember there was one section of prom. One section of prom was the Darcy people. The other section there's another room where all the French schools went. All the French schools were in that building, obviously. So one section was for the Darcy English kids. The other section was for the French kids in Quebec. And we all us guys, we tried to sneak into the other. Hey, because the girls were fucking hot. Hey, let's try and sneak into the other building. And the people were like, you can't come in here, guys. I'm saying we couldn't sneak in, obviously. We tried to sneak in, but they wouldn't let us come in, obviously. We tried to sneak in and go into the other building, but they wouldn't let us go in, obviously. You know what I'm saying? All right. And yeah. Anyways, after prom, everyone went home, obviously. Everyone was supposed to have an after party at some guy's house, but the after party ended up being in some park. Some outside park, obviously. I remember I got changed. You know what I'm saying? I put on my nice clothes. Obviously, I didn't know I'd get smashed with a rebuttal. I got changed. I put on my nice clothes. Obviously, I had a good time. And don't forget, I had a good time, obviously. I had some nice clothes. I had a good time, obviously. And I remember my parents. I asked my parents, hey, I need some money. I need some money. I want to be able to buy some food and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So my parents gave me like $20. I was able to buy myself a nice bottle of. My parents were able to. I was able to buy myself a nice bottle of like cheap vodka. It was like this bottle of vodka like this big. It was like a cheaper vodka, whatever it is. I forget what it's called. Obviously, it had like 15%, 20% alcohol. Got me drunk. 30% alcohol. I had that bottle for the prom, obviously. We all got a ride to prom. The one guy who's my good friend, who used to work at that gas station, who bragged about how rich that owner was, the gas station. He had his van. He drove me and my so-called best friend to the prom and all that stuff. As well as the other woman who I liked was also had a ride. She came in the car with us, as well as another girl. They all came in the car with us, obviously. The prom to the after party. Hey, we all need a ride to the place, and we all got a ride to the place, obviously. And we all got a ride to the prom, obviously. And we had a good time. You know what I'm saying? I got drunk. Everyone was drinking. We had a good time, obviously. My parents gave me $10 for food. But hey, when I'm drunk, I'm gonna need money for food. They gave me $10 for food after, obviously. I went to the prom, the after party. I was drunk. I was fucking drunk, obviously. And we had a good time. I had a good time. Me and my so-called best friend, we had a good time. The other guy, who was my like second best friend, he did not go to the prom because he knew he wasn't going to graduate. He ended up going to Darcy. He ended up repeating Darcy. He ended up going back to Darcy the following year, and he finished the school. The one guy, obviously, he didn't go to prom. He didn't go to prom. He didn't go to the after party with me, obviously, because he's like, yeah, fuck it. I'm not going to graduate. I might as well just not go to prom, and I might as well not go to what? I might as well not go to the after party, obviously. So I went to the after party with my so-called best friend. His brothers were there too, obviously. As well as I went with that good friend of mine who worked at that place, who owned the who worked at that gas station, who bragged about that owner who owned the gas station, obviously. Everything is going well and smooth, obviously. We're having a good time, music, everyone. I'm drunk. You know what I'm saying? I was drunk, obviously. I had a good time, obviously. And there was this one black guy he had beef with my so-called best friend. He pushed him. And I pushed him like, hey, don't touch him. I gave him a little push, you know what I'm saying? Hey, don't touch him. I didn't know the guy would take the beer and smash his face with the beer bottle. And I remember 1 second later, he was dancing. He did this like voodoo dance. It was creepy. And I remember full force, he smashed me in the face with the beer bottle. And I'm like, what the fuck? Blood was oozing out of my face. My best friend's like, Ivan, man, you need to go to the hospital. You're not good, man. He took his hand. He was covering my face. Ivan, you're not good, man. He's covering my face. Blood was oozing out of my face and all stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's like, Ivan, you're not good, man. I'm saying, everyone, I was like yelling. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck happened? I was yelling. I was yelling. I'm like, ah. I was yelling. Everyone around the party was staring at me. Holy shit, Ivan, you went through a lot. Yeah, man. I got smashed in the face with a beer bottle, obviously. And the other guy ran away like a coward, obviously. He ran away, obviously. You know what I'm saying? And there's the other guy who I knew and Darcy. He was like, "Oh, Ivan, you all right, man?" Ivan, he was covering what? He was covering what? He was covering my hands with blood. He's like, "Ivan, man, like you need to go to a hospital." He was covering my hands with blood, obviously. This other white guy, right? You know what I'm saying? And yeah. And they end up calling the cops. The cops showed up, obviously, and the ambulance came, and they put me in the ambulance, obviously. The ambulance came. My face was like, my face was oozing blood, man. It was fucking bad. I lost a lot of blood, man. You know what I'm saying? And the hospital, the people came. They put me in the hospital, obviously. They put me in the ambulance. Everyone's like, holy shit, Ivan, is Ivan okay? You know what I'm saying? I know why that guy smashed in the face with beer balls, because what he knew. I don't know if the whole thing was set up, man. I don't know if they set the whole thing up. Hey, man, smash Ivan in the face with beer ball. I don't know. I don't know if they set the whole thing up. But something tells me the whole thing was set up, man. Smash him in the face with beer ball. I don't know. I don't know if it was set up. But because the whole world knew about it, because all those guys in Darcy were all part of the plot to protect Zero Wen, they obviously didn't really care about me getting smashed in the face with a beer bottle. Yeah, hopefully Ivan has a fucked up face and he's not beautiful when he's king. Yeah. My face held up beautifully. And now what? And now, what? And now what? What? And now Ivan's King spoke out the one. Yeah. Almost done here, guys. So I thought it'd be cool to talk about my life when I'm young to when I finish high school. And tomorrow I'll talk about my life as an adult. What I went through as an adult, obviously. And how I woke up, how I found out about VJ, all that stuff. I think I had SD for 8 years, yeah. Obviously. So anyways, I go to the hospital, obviously, you know what I'm saying? My so-called best friend, he ended up calling my parents, obviously. I go to the hospital, I'm there for a couple hours, they're stitching up my face, staples, stitches, whatever it is. And there were a few members there of the family who were in the hospital with me, and my step parents came. You can tell they didn't give a shit about me. They came, they didn't even care. They didn't even care. Because the fact that they did this to me, they don't give a shit, obviously. They didn't care about me. They came, obviously, they picked me up. I remember after I got smashed in the face with a robot, I cried. I was crying tears, man. And I went home. I went home and I slept on my bed, obviously. My younger stepbrother was Ivan. Are you okay, Ivan? You know what I'm saying? But in reality, they don't give a shit, obviously. And I woke up the next day, and I remember my face was swollen. Like, looked like Two-Face. I looked like fucking Two-Face, obviously. I remember some of my friends in Darcy were like, poor Ivan, you know what I'm saying? Some people tweeted, some people posted some stuff on Facebook, poor Ivan. You know what I'm saying? The one chick who I like, she messaged me on Facebook. She goes, Ivan, are you okay? Are you all right, Ivan? Are you okay, Ivan? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. She said, don't hurt that beautiful face of yours. You know, so hopefully you're fine. You know what I'm saying? She actually talked to me. She talked to me for a bit on Facebook, obviously. Are you okay, Ivan? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, obviously. And once the incident, once I got smashed in the face with a beer bottle, obviously I found out, a couple of weeks went by, I found out later on that I failed all my classes again in high school. Obviously, then I went to summer school for those classes, and I failed summer school again. Yeah, Ivan, you feel, yeah, because I slacked off of school. I just didn't take school seriously, man. And after prom, after I got smashed in the face with a beer bottle, that was when all my so-called friends abandoned me. They abandoned me completely. That was when my friend, one of my best, my best friend, my second best friend, after grade 11, I never hung out with him after that. Never hung out with him after that, obviously. And what? I remember when I went to summer school, the chick that I liked in high school, she was in summer school. I hung out with her a little bit during summer school, obviously, with a couple other guys, obviously. And what? And I remember after high school, that was when all my friends abandoned me, my so-called friends. I hung out with my so-called best friend for a good like 6 months. After 2009, summer to like early 2010, I hung out with him for like a couple 6 months. But I started to realize that he didn't care about me anymore. It's like he didn't care about me anymore. I didn't really get that friend vibe from him. Whereas before, me and him were pretty tight. Even though he wasn't my real friend, he was an actor, obviously. They're all part of the Paw Protection when me and him were pretty tight before. Whereas after high school, I noticed how he didn't really show any friend interest in me. It's like he didn't give a shit about me anymore. You see what I'm saying here? Because all my friends abandoned that friend of mine who worked at that gas station, who bragged about that rich owner. I can tell he wasn't really my friend either. I went to an after party, a 2010 after party with him, and he ditched me and my so-called friends, obviously, and my so-called friends just didn't care about me anymore. They just didn't care about me anymore. I remember one time I went to a party in grade 10. I bought these nice-ass shoes. I went to this house party, this open house party, this French people, obviously, with my so-called best friends and his brothers and some other guys. And I remember my shoes got jacked. And I told him, hey, my shoes got fucking jacked, obviously, and no one even fucking cared. None of my friends even cared. Like, yeah, we don't give a shit, Ivan, if your shoes got jacked. You can tell they didn't care. What the fuck's going on here? How come my friends don't act like they don't give a shit about me anymore? And that other guy ditched me. I remember he told me, hey Ivan, let's go to this other party, man. You know, he told me, he said, Ivan, just me and you, let's go to this party. And I'm like, no, I want to be here. And I was saying he ended up leaving and he ditched, obviously. He left, obviously. Ivan, man, let's go to this other party, this English party, you know what I'm saying? I ended up not going to the other party. I went to the French party, obviously. And my shoes got jacked. I bought these nice, like, $9 shoes and they got jacked, man. I don't know who stole it, but my shoes got jacked, obviously. And none of my friends even cared. My so-called friends didn't even care, obviously. But, my shoes got jacked, man. He just like brushed it off. He didn't give a shit. The reason why I know my friends treat me like shit, the reason why I know my friends, all my so-called friends abandoned me, is because they all knew, yeah, after high school, everyone goes into their own path after high school. Everyone goes into their own path after high school, obviously. Everyone goes into their own path after high school. Then y'all knew, yeah, we're all going to move on to our careers. You know what I'm saying? We're all going to get married. We're all going to have wives and girlfriends and kids. Ivan's going to have his hot-ass wife, VJ. He's going to be a multi-billionaire with her. Yeah. That's why all my friends treat me like shit, obviously. See what I'm saying here? So I hung out with my so-called best friend for a good like 6 months after prom, after I got smashed in free Super Bowl. And after that, they abandoned me pretty much. I stopped hanging out with them. And I saw Iron Man 2 like one time in 2010. And that was the last time I ever hung out with my so-called friend. I haven't hung out with him since, obviously. As well as all my other friends. I haven't. I saw a few of the one guy who worked at the gas station, who bragged about that rich oil at the gas station. I saw him at the bar a few times in my older adult years, obviously. He just said hi to me. Hey, how's it going, Ivan? That's all he said to me. How you doing, man? I'm saying, well, what are you doing now? And I'm saying, yeah, I work at Coors. I'm saying the whole time the doors were locking me. That's how evil all these guys are, man. They all knew the doors were locking me. They knew my family, the gatekeepers, and none of them even bothered to make mention of that to me because they're all part of the Paw Protect. So when obviously, that's why all these guys who I knew in my life, they're not my real friends. They're all fake friends. None of these guys even bothered to tell me, hey, man, I gotta tell you something, man. The doors are locked on you. You know what I'm saying? Your family, the gatekeepers, and you're separate from your wife and your God. No one even bothered to make mention of that to me. That's why I'm gonna have that flashback of my life when I pay this fee. Yeah, that's how you know I'm peacing out for good, obviously. For my wife, obviously. All right. After my friends, so during this time, I applied to Al Ed, and I went to Al Ed. So the fall of 2009, I went to Al Ed, obviously. I remember I met all the other guys in Darcy. They were getting ready to go to Heritage College. You know what I'm saying? This is in 2009. Yeah, they're getting ready to go to Heritage College. And at that time, I was just going to Al Ed, obviously. I remember that. You know what I'm saying? I went to Al Ed. And finally, when I went to Al Ed, I'm like, okay, Ivan, stop slacking off, take school seriously. And I finally put in the work, man. And I fucking got good marks. I got better marks than even a lot of guys in Darcy for history and English. 90s in history, 80s in grade 11 English, and I got 70s in grade 10 English. I got a fucking good mark. Yeah, man. I put in the work and I finally got good marks. Obviously. In 2010, all my friends abandoned me. Obviously. All my friends abandoned me. During 2009, I was still hanging out with that so-called best friend of mine. And then after 2010, he abandoned me pretty much. I stopped hanging out with him. And all I did was I went to Al Ed. I was a loner. I went to Al Ed on my own. No. When I went to Al Ed, I hung out with that one guy. That one guy who I met in summer school in grade 9. The guy who went to Darcy, obviously. He was like, I'm going to Darcy, Ivan. I'm moving to Elmer. That guy, I hung out with him a lot. Me and him were good friends in Al Ed, obviously. I hung out with him a lot in Al Ed. I also hung out with another guy who I knew since like grade 4. He was a year older than me. He was in Al Ed too. I hung out with him a few times in Al Ed too. He drove me home a few times too. Yeah. I hung out with him a few times too, obviously. So I had some good school friends in Al Ed, obviously. You know, so that other guy used to drive me home, all that stuff. The other friend of mine, the pretty good friend of mine. I remember I was like, hey Ivan, there's a huge house party coming up. You should come? I'm like, nah, I don't want to come. I don't want to come to a house party. I'm just gonna focus on school. Because before I didn't really care about school, but eventually I started to care about school. I'm just gonna focus on school. And Al Ed, when I went to Al Ed, I was a good student. I went to all my classes. I barely skipped class. I went to all my classes. Did my grade 10 English, did my grade 11 English, did my history. And I passed all those classes with good marks, man. Good fucking marks. You guys already know the marks I got. I told you in my other video, obviously. You know what I'm saying? And I also did French, too. I had to do grade 11 French. I passed French with like a 65%. French is tough. But I passed all my classes with pretty good marks. Good marks, obviously. And in 2010 was when around that time I was working at Chorus. And that was when I bought my PS3. And I bought all these movies. And I used to buy a lot of food, like order pizza, get McDonald's. I watch all these movies. And I'd play a lot of games. And that was when my stepfather, for some reason, he kept taking away the DVD, taking away my PS3, taking away the internet cord. And that led me to writing the Islamic story, obviously, the apostasy story, and that led me to writing Zanus in late 2011, and that is my story, guys. And starting from 2010, I was a loner my whole life. I was a loner through and through. I hung out with people a few times, but I was a loner. Starting in 2010, I was a loner, and I thought I had disease, and I was very depressed, obviously. And in late 2011, I started writing Last Hope for Zanes, and that is my story, guys, from childhood to adulthood to high school. And tomorrow, guys, I'll be talking about my adult life, what I went through in my adult life, thinking I have disease for 8 years, working in all these places. My family kept putting me down, obviously. You know what I'm saying? The family constantly kept coming over for Christmas, obviously. And that is my story, guys. That's it for this video, guys. Stay tuned for my final video tomorrow. I'll be ending off my final announcement. I'll be talking about, it'll be part 2 of my final announcement. I'll talk about my life when I was an adult. So 18 years old to 30 years old now, 29 years old now. I'll talk about my life, what I went through throughout my whole life. Going to the strip club, thinking I have disease, working, crying tears, thinking I have an STD, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff. Looking at a very, very interesting video for that. So Ivan Omer, I am signing out. I am not officially signing out yet, guys. You have one more video left tomorrow. I am signing out. I'm going to upload this video, go eat some burgers, take a shower, go to the store, buy smokes, come back and enjoy this show. Stay tuned for my final part of my miscellaneous series, which is my part 2 of my miscellaneous series, which is the final announcement. This is Ivan Omer. I am not officially signing out yet, but I'll be officially signing out tomorrow. Peace.